Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello, welcome to episode number 114 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from Hull KR Shirts, and today we're going to take a look around this 2014 away shirt that was worn by Neville Costigan. So we've covered the 2014 shirt, or away shirt, before. But yeah, Neville Costigan, somebody that we've not had the opportunity to cover because it's a first time shirt for me in the collection of the Papua New Guinea forward. So, as I've said here, 2014 away shirt. What a design! I just think it's absolutely incredible. The two-tone blues, the way that the bands work with each other, the way that they sort of interconnect and fade. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I sort of dislike about this shirt is this Hull angle in centre sponsor that's just in this awful green colour, which against the blue and the white and the red and white of the crest, it looks awful. Again, we've spoken about sponsors in the past, and there is the need for them to be on kits, and I fully understand that, and I get that they want their branding to stand out. I prefer it when it's less offensive. For me, that is quite offensive in terms of its appearance. Bearing in mind, I'm able to stand here and deliver these videos and create this content from a purely neutral perspective, where when I can say sort of what I think, and like I say in this one here, it just stands out a little bit too much, albeit that's great for the sponsor, so I could see why they would probably push for that to be a part of the kit. We've got this sort of crew neck into a V. It's a very weird sort of way to describe this one, but it's definitely a crew neck collar. But we do have this V down here, which forms part of the reinforced stitching. Again, that is something that we've covered sort of many times on episodes of Talking Shirts, where we've spoken about the reinforced stitching and how it's supposed to stop shirts from ripping. But as we know from experience, that isn't always the case. Although I don't have a memory of one of these shirts with a giant rip in it. But now I've said that, I'm sure that somebody will send me a picture or something will crop up. In fact, I hope it does, because I love stuff like that. Absolutely love it. Ignore this. Everything else that's dye sublimated into the shirt, absolutely brilliant. So we've got D signs, still dealing with the club to this day, 10 years after their appearance on this 2014 away shirt. Maker marker Vita. 2014 was their first year manufacturing shirts for Hull KR, and this is obviously the first away kit that they produced for us, and for me, they did a cracking job with it. We've got the Hull Kingston Rovers Club crest. We've got Clear Sky. That has been dye sublimated into the front there as well. And we've got this sort of the gel grip patches, which I kind of have described in the past as like having wings. You can almost imagine an angel stood in there, and then just the way that the wings just sort of just flow off either side. For me, looks absolutely brilliant. And then we've actually got a jock tag down here, which has been stitched into the shirt. Vita Authentic Apparel with the Hull KR Club crest. Something that doesn't really feature too much on sort of players playing shirts. Replica shirts, even as far up as sort of with Oxen, they've used that jock tag, quite a few times. It's a very sort of common feature of the modern era. So yeah, the fact that that's still there, I think it's called a jock tack because it's got something to do with it being American, jocks, etc., etc. But yeah, it's quite a unique feature there. Like I say, the blue design elements to it, the way the bands kind of flow through, are absolutely brilliant. The way that it fades a little bit as well. Just sign me up. I love it. Absolutely love it. As we take a look around this sleeve here, we have got the Archbishop Centimo Academy. Their branding has been dye sublimated into sort of the upper sort of sleeve, almost on the shoulder up there. And then as you can see here, we have absolutely nothing. That's purely because this space was kept for the Super League to find their own sponsorship branding to appear on there, which clearly they never did. The clubs do get this spacement back to be able to fill with their own sponsor, but obviously during the 2014 season that wasn't achievable for Hull KR, so that didn't happen. So yeah, bit boring, but it is what it is. And then as we have a look at this other side here, we've got Archbishop Centimo Academy featuring again, and then we've got the First Utility Super League competition patch. Now this was a very sort of intricate logo to kind of heat apply to a shirt there's so many small contact points, which meant that they are all sort of peeling and fraying. Almost every one of these that I've seen that has been used during a game has some elements of peeling to it. That could be down to the quality of the patch. It could be down to the fabric that it's applied to. It could also be down to the size of the contact points as well, which where it's kind of the smaller contact points that are peeling, I get the feeling that probably has something to do with it. But yeah, First Utility, they did sponsor Super League for a few years during this era. Like I say, inoffensive, but could have been a bit more imaginative in the design and their application, I would have said on this one. Cool. So that's been the front and the sides. We'll take a look at the back after this short break, and we'll talk a little bit about Neville Costigan, Papua New Guinea, and some other players that have featured for the Robins over the years.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
And welcome back to episode number 114 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we was taking a tour around this 2014 away shirt, and now we are back with the reverse. So as previously mentioned, this one was worn by Neville Costigan. A little bit more about him in a moment. We will talk about the back of the shirt. So the shirt design that featured on the front continues on the back as well. So we've got these sort of diagonal banded blue bands, the two-tone colour that go all the way around the back of the shirt. As I said, they featured on the front as well. We've got East Yorkshire Shutters Limited, Higher Base and Hull College. Those brandings have been dye sublimated into the back of the kit. You can also make out the stitching marks of where the GPS tracker has been applied to this kit as well. East Yorkshire Shutters features in the white, Higher Base also white, Hull College mostly white. We do have elements of black in there, and obviously their colourway for the HC UK logo that features as part of their branding. I'm still not a fan of these big massive white patches that are featured on the back of a shirt for a sponsor. I spoke a little bit about that in episode number 113, where we looked at Ben Cocane's 2016 away shirt, because that also featured a very similar logo in a very similar place. This one being slightly higher up, we wouldn't probably expect to see it a little bit lower, maybe sort of 3 or 4 inches lower on the back of the kit there. There is only just enough space for the name and the number to be applied with a good sort of spacing. This T is almost touching the reinforced stitching, and the bottom of the number is almost sort of touching that white space there as well. So I get the feeling that there might have been a few panicked faces when these arrived if they hadn't been able to fit everything in with decent spacing. Would have looked very congested, especially considering you've got all of this space down here, albeit there is a piece of sort of reinforced stitching around the bottom of the shirt there. That could have quite easily dropped a couple of inches and it not affected the design element of the shirt at all. So yeah, Neville Costigan. So Neville Costigan signed a 2-year contract with Hull KR ahead of the 2014 season. Now, sadly, he did just complete 1 year with the Robins and did return back to the Southern Hemisphere after 1 season due to personal reasons. During that season, he made 25 appearances, scoring 3 tries. As you can see here, his squad number did imply that he was going to be a second rower, but he did make appearances at loose forward as well during his time with the club. Neville Costigan was one of many Papua New Guineans that have represented the Robins sort of over the years. You can think of Stanley Jean and John Oakle. We have also had Neville Costigan as well. And I'm sure you might remember a certain Enoch Mackey and Francis Paniu, who did sign for the Robins ahead of the 2013 season, who never made it across due to visa issues. The club have obviously stepped in now with their contract and agreement, shall we say, with the Port Moresby Vipers in Papua New Guinea. During 2024, Jason Netherton, Craig Flankel and John O'Cull did travel across there to make contact with and sort of officially announced the agreement that was in place between Hull KR and the Port Moresby Vipers, and I'm sure that relationship will continue to grow as we head through sort of the latter stages of 2024. As I've previously said in episodes of Talking Shirts, these are usually recorded well in advance of the release date. So we should probably know who the two young fellows are who are coming over and living with John and playing in the Rover Scholarship side, heading into the academy, and obviously getting full-time education during their time in England as well. So yeah, I'm sure those lads are working incredibly hard at this moment in time. Yeah, so Costigan and 12, as I've said, that's been heat applied. The name Costigan, there's not really too much damage going on. There's a little bit of sort of crinkling, not quite any peeling yet. But if you look at this number, there's a little bit of cracking. This number 1, look, it's peeling in sort of 3 corners just there, and also at the bottom. Again, very similar to the competition patch on the sleeve. It could come down to the quality of vinyl, or it might have just not taken to the fabric that this shirt is being made out of. It can be a common thing. It just looks a bit rubbish. Sometimes these will get ripped off and then reapplied. But as you can see here, this has just got the one sort of layer to it. In fact, looking at the number 2, it has had a number 2 on there that has peeled off and then been reapplied. So there you go. You can see the sort of the footprint of it, the shadow. I will pop some close-up images so you can see that. It does look like it's just had one number 1. That's probably why the number 2 is in a bit better condition. There we go. Learning something new whilst on an episode of Talking Shirts. You get the bright lights on, you get the camera on, and yeah, things that you hadn't seen before jump out you a little bit. You love to see it. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Super League branding that features within the number set, as it has for sort of years now. I think we've spoken about that in the last 3 episodes now. So yeah, a little bit of consistency that I've been able to kind of show you there with the name and the number sets. This one that was used in 2014 was fine. Not like 2024. Really don't like that. This is fine. It's clear, it's visible, it's easy to read from the stands. Those should be the 3 things that kind of should be tick boxes before something like that gets approved. Fingers crossed it changes for 2025. I'm hopeful, very, very hopeful. So yeah, that's been everything for episode number 114 of Talking Shirts. Hope you've enjoyed this tour of Neville Costigan's 2014 away shirt. Yeah, I've really enjoyed delivering this one today. Cool. Check back in another couple of weeks. I'll be back with episode number 115, where we kind of tick off a first time ever. It's something that I've never covered before. It's got a slight twist on the usual variation, although it is still a Hulk IR shirt, but it isn't one that was worn by the men's team. Check back in another couple of weeks to find out. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.